I'm Chris Sauerwald on behalf of Stony Brook University Libraries, Stony Brook University Center for Digital Humanities. It's our great pleasure to finally welcome Dr. Lisa Fagin Davis of the Simmons School of Library Science. She's the director of Medieval Academy of America. She is a medievalist, a fragmentologist, a manuscript detective, and a IIIF evangelist. So without further ado,
thank you.
Dr. Lisa Fagin Davis.
Oh, hello to the Zoom world and to the people in the room. This is my first hybrid event. I've never done something quite like this before, so I'm really excited to have humans in a room and people joining us on Zoom. I see a lot of familiar names. Hello out there. And we actually have manuscripts. We have IIIF demos going on. We've got live demos. We've got different cameras coming in different places. This is it's a whole extravaganza for you. So I'm glad that you're here. And let's get going. So I'm here to talk to you today about the International Image Interoperability Framework, or IIIF. And in particular, how IIIF enables manuscript research in really exciting ways. And in particular, the kind of research that I'm very interested in, and others as well, working with manuscript fragments, and in particular, single leaves that are so common in North American collections. The reason single leaves are so common in North American collections is because back in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 100 years ago, book dealers figured out that they were going to make a lot more money if they cut up books and sold them off page by page. Instead of selling one book to one person, they could sell 250 pages to 250 people, and they would make a lot more money. And in the process of this, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of medieval manuscripts were cut apart and scattered to the winds, and are now literally scattered leaves across the United States, Canada as well, less so in Europe. Europe has its own fragment history. Here in the States, the real story is this capitalist biblioclasm or destruction of books, and it's an irreparable destruction. These manuscripts that have been taken apart will never be able to be put back together again. Literally, they're just too scattered. But thanks to IIIF, we have other opportunities for how we can remedy and remediate in the digital world what has been broken here in the analog world. So let's see if I can make this work. There we go. All right. Here is the criminal of the hour. He's not a criminal. He was not a criminal. He was a good and kind, loving man who was very misguided in what he did. This is Otto F. And Otto F. lived and worked in Cleveland. He was a book dealer. He was also a teacher. He taught typography and the history of the book, and he was really interested in the history of handwriting. And so when he started breaking up books, he was breaking up books that, for him at least, seemed of interest typographically, that had interesting scripts, interesting examples of different kinds of medieval handwriting. And he broke up hundreds of manuscripts and hundreds of printed books. And when he was towards the end of his life, he started this project with his wife, Louise, and she completed the project after his death in 1951. And that project was to create these boxes. I'm gonna grab our little camera here. Oh, no, that won't work. We'll look at it over here. Can I have a little bit more wire? There we go, perfect. So if we get the camera going, I can show the Zoom world. Here it is, great. So here is, around, look at that, there it is. All right, so here we're looking at this box titled 50 Original Leaves from Medieval Manuscripts, Western Europe, 12th through the 16th century. And yes, for those of you in the room, if you look over there, you'll be able to see what I'm doing with the camera. But you can also, if you don't want to, you're welcome to stand up and come over here and take a look too. And so these, oh, you can switch out of the camera now. Let's go back. There we go. So there were originally 40 of these boxes. And what Eggy did was, he took 50 manuscripts that he owned, 50 complete manuscripts. And he took one leaf from one manuscript, one leaf from the next one, one leaf from the third, the fourth, the fifth, and created these decks of manuscript leaves and put them in boxes. So in each of these particular boxes, the 50 original leaves boxes, there are 50 leaves from the same 50 manuscripts. And leaf number 1 in this box is from the same manuscript as leaf number 1 in every other box. There were originally 40 of these boxes, and 31 of them have now been found. 2 of them came to light just in the last few years. One that belonged to the Eggy family that they had kept in a bank vault in New Jersey for 56 years. And that was acquired by Yale University. And that was Eggy's personal box. And so that box is full of really nice, particularly nice examples of the leaves of these 50 manuscripts. The other box that just came to light was found in Ohio, and because Eggy was from Cleveland, there's a huge number of leaves that came through his hands that have ended up in Cleveland and in Ohio in general. A gentleman going through his uncle's home after his uncle passed away, his uncle was a hoarder, just piles and piles of books and things. In a basement bathroom, under the sink, he found one of these boxes and sold it at Christie's last year for a lot of money, and it now belongs to Harvard. So these boxes do come to light. There's still more of this material out there. And I want to very quickly show you some representative examples of what you find in these boxes. So you can kind of get a sense of what we're talking about. So I pulled 4 mystery leaves here. They're in chronological order. We're going to start here with leaf number 1. If you want to stand up and come and take a closer look. I'm going to pull up the document camera for those attending from afar. Now what SUNY has done here, Stony Brook, not SUNY, SBU has done here is actually really important. So you'll see this is the mat that came with the books. So this is the original mat. Let's get the camera going here too. Do you want me to hold it for you? No, that's all right, I can do it. Thank you. This way, there we go. So the mat, they have original Eggy mats with Eggy's letterpress descriptions that he printed and wrote himself. They're full of misinformation. That's okay. But what the SBU archivists have done is, as they were, there we go, they kept the mats, but they protected the leaves with acid-free paper. And that's because these mats are highly acidic. They're really toxic for books. But the mats are really important for the history of these leaves. So this is the earliest leaf in the box. It's from the 12th century. It's a Bible, a glossed Bible. There's some gloss on the side and sometimes interlinearly. There's the interlinear gloss. So this manuscript is Eggy number 1. You can see the tape is still there. This tape is really hard to remove. And it generally is one of the signs that you're looking at an Eggy leaf is when you see this horrible white masking tape. One of the great things, oh, yeah.
I'm struck by, just looking at the screen and looking around, I'm struck by how hard it is to tell how small these are. Would you like a dollar bill or something for scale?
There you go, put my hand there for scale. But you're absolutely right. This one is fairly small. You can hold it up that way. You can. Those of you joining us from home, you can see how small it is. One of the great things about this particular leaf is that it has a folio number on it. So that's really helpful if you're going to try and remediate this destruction. It's helpful to know what has been done. So I'm actually going to skip. We're going to come back to this one. This one is one of my favorites. This is number 14. Absolutely stunning. Let's have the document camera back, please, so that we can share this with the world. Absolutely gorgeous. Late 13th, early 14th century Carthusian Bible. There it is. I'm trying to do this. There it is. So you can see this is a leaf from Deuteronomy. Every single page has this beautiful, beautiful border decoration. Lovely, going down into the margin with these little trefoil leaves. And then the initials are all gold. They've all got gold leaves. Some of them have little animals and creatures in them. And the reason we know it's Carthusian is because of this P in the margin. These marginal letters are typical for Carthusian use because they tell you when the lessons for particular times of day are to be read, and it's a Carthusian, the Carthusian pattern. So this was a very beautiful manuscript. You can only imagine what that must have looked like when it was whole. Thank you very much. And then this one is another one that I like very much. This is number 30, a very beautiful early 15th century book of hours. Let's go back to the document camera. Look how stunning that is. Just beautiful, really typical early 15th century border decoration, these little vines. Yes, it's very tall. Oh, thank you. Sarah Lipton, ladies and gentlemen. And so this is very, yeah, sure, I'll take $1 bill. Thank you. Look at that, I'm getting paid. There we go. So now we can, whoop, can we get back to the document? There we go. So now you can see, you can get a sense of the scale. That was a good idea. Thank you. So this one is very typical, early 15th century. These little skinny vines called vanceaux are taking over the whole border with little flowers and things. And as you get later in the 15th century, these become less pronounced and get taken over and replaced by different kinds of border decoration. So the last one that I want to show you, I'm going to give you your $1 back, sir. Thank you very much. The last one I want to show you is the one that I am most interested in, and that is my very dear friend, the Beauvais Missal, which is number 15 in the box. In every one of these boxes, there is another leaf of the Beauvais Missal. So here it is. And we have the document camera. You can admire it for yourself. It is an absolutely glorious manuscript. Every single page with these initials that have these tendrils going out into the margins, this beautiful decoration inside, the infill alternating sort of a light salmon and blue with gold balls. And on the other side, on this leaf, there's this fabulous dragon, this little creature right there, sort of a bird-like dragon that, what's that?
There you go.
There we go. So you can all see that. So this is my favorite manuscript that Eggy dismembered, and it is the subject of what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of today, is the work that I'm doing on this particular manuscript. And I will also say that I've spent a lot of time with this manuscript digitally, and this leaf I've known very well for a long time. Today is the first time I've seen it in person, and it's so nice to get to meet it. It's like meeting Twitter friends in real life. It's so lovely to get to say hello to it in person. All right, so I'm just going to leave it open so you can continue to admire it while we move on to the next. How am I doing? That trip? Okay. All right, so now this is the real test as we do a live demo of IIIF functionality. So back in the early, say, 2000s, Barbara Shaler, who had been at that point the director of the Beinecke Library and was a really esteemed, great, important manuscript scholar, wrote an article where she said, someday we are going to be able to use electronic technology to reconstruct these manuscripts online. She had this vision. And now, in fact, we can. The first, let's see. Oh, I meant to show you that. This is an article that Eggy published where he proudly referred to himself as a biblioclast. And he did this because he was raised a socialist and he thought, it's ironic, right? He was a capitalist on one hand, making all this money. But on the other hand, he thought it wasn't fair that the really rich institutions should have all the manuscripts. Why should JP Morgan get all the manuscripts? You get a leaf, and you get a leaf, and you get a leaf. Look under your seat, right? Everybody gets a leaf. And that was his philosophy. That's why he proclaimed himself. He said he was doing something for the good of humanity. And the truth is, it was a terrible thing he did, but there's no way that Stony Brook University could buy 50 whole books. But you do have these 50 leaves for teaching and for research. It certainly doesn't excuse what he did, but it is a consequence of his actions. All right. So after Barbara wrote her article, this website was set up at Denison University in Ohio, where this process sort of first got started. And Fred Porchedu, who did this, posted images of the different leaves from this 50 original leaf set. So here, for example, is the Boving Missile page from Case Western University. Now, this is not an interoperable website. You can't do anything with these images. You can download them if you wanted to. But it's a gathering place. It's not a reconstruction. It doesn't really allow you to start putting the pages in order and to think about what this manuscript was before it was discovered. So this was a great start, but it doesn't quite get us where we want to be. The thing that does get us where we want to be, it's 6 now, is IIIF, the International Image Interoperability Framework. International, obviously, it is an international project, resource. Image has to do with what we do with images. Interoperability, that's the key word in all of this. So interoperability means that you can do something with these images. You can share them, you can put them somewhere else, you can use them, they're open access, but they also are allowed you, using just a persistent URL, to share the image. And I don't mean, here's the URL, click on it in a browser and you can go look at it. What I mean is that you don't go get the image comes to you. Meaning that when you use a IIIF persistent URL, the image is drawn from the server where it is housed and appears in the shared canvas viewer that you are using. So you don't have to download the image and then upload it somewhere else. You just use that URL and the image appears when you want it. So the image is stored in only one place. It's curated by one institution, and it can be used by an infinite number of people at the same time for their own purposes by mirroring the image into a particular kind of a viewer. So I'm going to show you how this works. So what SBU has done, here we go. So what Stony Brook has done here is a role model for other institutions. I point people, I direct people who want to understand what IIIF is and how it works. I say, go look at what Stony Brook has done. So what we're looking at is the Boving Missile leaf and the Stony Brook server being served through IIIF in, this is the Mirador viewer. But if you scroll down, it's also a library record. So it combines the embedded viewer with all of this very rich data. Now, the way that IIIF works is the code that underlies the image, which is called the manifest. The manifest has embedded in it all of this metadata. And so when you mirror that image into another viewer, all that metadata automatically comes with it. You don't have to repeat it, you don't have to rekey it, you don't have to make up your own metadata. It's all automatically follows the image because it's embedded underneath in the back end. And I can show you. Another thing that the SBU records do really well is they make it really easy for you to find that information. If you want to share this image through mirroring, all you have to do is go here where it says IIIF manifest, right there. Click on that. Let's do command click and see if it opens in a new. It does. All right, and what you end up with is all of this gobbledygook. You don't have to know what this is. You know what it is, but he knows what it is. You don't have to be able to parse this. You don't have to be able to know what this is. But what it actually is not just the metadata, but all of these other instructions about what the image, how the image is going to look. But what you need is just this up here. That URL is what you want. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to jump over to my next. Let's see, where are we? This one? Yes, okay. So this is the Mirador demo site, where that allows you to kind of play around with IIIF and kind of experiment for yourself and see how it works and what do you want to do with it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go over here, right there. I'm going to add a resource. Then we jump down to the bottom, add a resource, and then I'm going to paste that right there. And then we're going to click enter, and then the magic will happen. There it is. And when I click on that, it has now been mirrored into this viewer. So I didn't have to download anything. I didn't download images. I didn't do anything with them. All I did was use the persistent URL for the IIIF resource to add it into this viewer. And so I'm going to close that. I'm going to get rid of. There we go. There we go. And you can then you can see exactly what we've done. But what I really want to show you is up here. You can see this is all the data that traveled with the leaf, because all of that information was embedded in the manifest. So if there are any changes to be made, they only have to be made once. The holding institution can change the manifest, and it will automatically be updated by anyone else who uses the manifest. So it automatically happens. It automatically is funneled into the viewer, which is a really great feature. Because what you don't want is 30 people using the same image with different metadata, and some of it's out of date and some of it's not. This way, it's all in one place. There's only one person responsible for it, and it can be easily updated in any context. Now, the other cool thing that, let's go back to, is this the one? Yes, here it is. So I'm now going to let's look at, okay, so this is the website for University of Colorado at Boulder, which is also IIIF compliant, serving images using IIIF. This is their votive leaf. If I want to start pulling these votive leaves together, IIIF makes that really easy. So the trick, of course, is sometimes finding the link to the IIIF manifest, because it can be hidden in all sorts of interesting places. So we're looking around on this page, going, where's the IIIF manifest? I don't see it anywhere. Well, I happen to know it's up here. Click share. There's the IIIF manifest. So then you can copy it. And then I go back to here. And I'll just add it. Let's add it down here. Resource B. And there it is. And now when I click on it, now we have two side by side. It's really exciting. And again, I didn't have to download anything. All I did was use that URL, and now that image has been pulled in to the viewer when I asked for it. Let's do another one. So now let's look at, this is the University of Minnesota, also IIIF. Where is the IIIF manifest? I don't know. Let's find it. We're going to keep going, keep going, keep going. Ah, wait, way down here at the bottom, there is a IIIF logo. Just so happens, and there's a link to the JSON. So if I want to click on that, woo, there's the JSON. Up there is our URL that we want. Copy it. Whoops. See, I'm not really a Mac user. I want to get this wrong. There we go. And see, come on. There we are. And copy. Okay, there we go. So I now have that URL. I can go back and do it again. I can do it any number of times. As long as I can find that persistent URL, I can keep adding windows until I have as many as I want. Now, the trick is that where we are? That's the one. That's Harvard's. Here we go. This is what I want to show you. The trick is when you have an institution that is serving their images using IIIF, and you know that they are because someone told you they are, but there is no IIIF link in this record anywhere. Yeah, so this is the National Gallery of Art. They're moving missile leaf. It's a very beautiful leaf. But how am I supposed to take advantage of IIIF functionality? The whole point of IIIF, of serving images using IIIF, is to make them interoperable, is to allow people to go and get them and use them and do things with them. So then you have to figure out what the JSON is, and there are a few ways that you can do it. Every institution that uses IIIF puts together something called an API, which is basically it's like a set of rules that let you piece together what that URL is going to look like, what the template is for that persistent URL that you are looking for. A better way to do that is to inspect the page. Let's go behind the scenes, see how the sausage is made. Let's go here.
Awesome.
There we go, that's what I want. I'll inspect it. All right, now if we go down here and we do a search for JSON, and we keep going until we find the right one. All right, so way down here at the bottom, there is a very long, lengthy line of code that happens to include the JSON that we're looking for, the manifest URL. And I only know that because I know what these things tend to look like. And if we go here now, I want to edit the HTML so that I can pull out the manifest URL, which is right here. It goes all the way to there. Then I can copy it. Then we can go back here. Resource down here. Paste it. And God willing, when the creek don't rise, it will work. There it is. Voila. So now we've got all these different ones. Oh, that's the one we were just looking at. Darn it, I need to go back and copy it again. I think I didn't copy it. Let's try that again. Here. Edit. Now. There. Copy. All right, let's try this one more time. So much suspense. Oh no, there it is. Sorry, it was already there. Just give me a second. There it is. So now we have all these images in one place, and we can start comparing them and contrasting them and figuring out what order they go in and trying to put this manuscript back together. Now, that was a lot of work. It was complicated. Fortunately, Fragmentarium, this amazing resource, fragmentarium.ms, does all the work for you. So you don't have to go digging around and trying to find all the manifests. So Fragmentarium is this amazing resource that has been developed in the last 7-8 years that allows you to, it's a data model that's specifically designed for manuscript fragments. So it includes fields that you wouldn't necessarily look at or find in a description of a whole codex. And it allows you then to take advantage of IIIF functionality to put these records in the correct order. It's really cool. And then, once you've got that, you can then start exploring, and you can start clicking and looking at the different parts of the manuscript. You can see how leaves are consecutive or not, where there are leaves missing, and start exploring the content and learning about these manuscripts in a way. Just one leaf doesn't tell you anything useful about a manuscript. You know, I mean, I can look at that leaf of the Bogan Missal and say, well, it looks like it's from the Sanctorale. It looks like it's, late 13th century France. I don't know anything else. That's only one leaf. Give me 111 leaves, which is what I currently have. I can tell you a lot about the manuscript now. I can tell you a lot that we didn't already know. This is a touch screen, and I just have to do this because I can't resist. It lets you move things around like that, like in drag. You can actually reorder the leaves. I just totally messed it up, and then I have to go back in and fix the order now. And then you can also scroll through the manuscript leaf by leaf. This. And I have it open here to the SBU leaf. So this is that leaf. And it shows how it fits into the manuscript. What I discovered about this leaf in particular is that it is, or used to be, consecutive with the leaf that now belongs to the Smith College Museum of Art. And so that's right here. So here is, if we, hold on, I'm going to use the touchscreen again. If we do that, hopefully that will get us what we want. Not working. There we go. So here we've got the verso of the Smith College leaf and the recto of the Stony Brook leaf. Now that's pretty cool. So now we can actually see how the text is consecutive, and you can also, I don't think we're going to be able to zoom in and do this, but on the recto of this leaf, can we go back to the document camera? Because this is cool. There we go. Okay, doc cam. Let's see if we can see it. So right here, so I'm not looking at this. This is show through from the other side. Way up here, really faint. You see that right there? There's a sort of a faint shadow that looks a lot like this. What that is an offset. And it matches up, you can turn off the back cam. It matches up perfectly with that. Because when the book was closed, that was smushed up against this leaf for hundreds and hundreds of, did I just do that? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. For hundreds of years. And so it left this, this kind of shadow, this ghost here that matches up perfectly with what we saw on the other leaf. Let's see. There, with this right there. And so that's really important material evidence, things that you can find. But the other piece that has come out of all of this is that I'm also trying to reconstruct part of what the manuscript looked like in 3 dimensions, what the structure of the manuscript was. So the way that medieval manuscripts are put together, it's like when you were a kid. You stacked a bunch of pieces of paper and you folded it through the middle and stapled it, and you made a little booklet. That's basically how medieval manuscripts work. What Otto F did, and his ilk, they took those conjoined pages, known as bifolia, and they cut them in half. So you had 2 leaves instead of what was originally 2 separate leaves instead of 1 bifolia. But because because of clues in the manuscript, I'm actually able to do some reconstructing of the physical properties of the manuscript. So if we go to the next one, let's see, where are we? Is it this one? No, that's where we are now. There we go. So now I'm using, I see Doc Porter, I see you. This is a resource that was developed by Doc Porter at the University of Pennsylvania, and I see her over there on Zoom, that allows you to visualize the collation of a manuscript. And by inputting various criteria and images and information, you can piece quires back together. And that's what I've done here. And way down here in this quire, right here, this is Stony Brook University, right here. This is the Stony Brook leaf. There it is. And I used IIIF to import these images, to mirror these images right here. I used your IIIF manifest URLs to make these images appear here. It was extremely cool. And what you can see right here So this is the central bifold of the choir where the sewing was. This leaf at Stony Brook was once not only consecutive, but actually conjoint with the leaf at Smith College Museum of Art. So they were originally like this until Otto F cut them apart. These two leaves haven't seen each other since 1942. And they spent hundreds and hundreds of years as neighbors, side by side, squished together, loving up on each other. And they're now separated by hundreds of miles. But they originally were, in fact, one piece of parchment from the same core sheet. So that's been a really exciting outcome. And like I said, I was able to use IIIF functionality to mirror the images into the, what's called VisCall is the name of the application. This is the VC editor. So I was able to take advantage of IIIF functionality to do that. So the last thing I want to show you is kind of the back end. Let's see, where is my, all right, let's go, what's next? Oh, this is the last thing. So I keep saying it's the last thing, but it's not the last thing because there's so much to talk about. What are you supposed to do when the Smith College Museum of Art isn't using IIIF at all? What am I supposed to do about that? Well, they're not going to convert to IIIF because I wrote them and said, would you please convert to IIIF? I didn't do that, but I wouldn't do it. So here is what you do. You use your own IIIF hosted server. And so what I have done, I did this in advance. It's like now I'm going to reach in the oven and pull out the fully cooked cake to save time. So what I did was I downloaded this image from the website and I uploaded it into this website, IIIFhosting.com. IIIF hosting allows you, basic person out on the street, to, for free, upload a certain number of images and they will serve them as IIIF images on your behalf. There's a limit to that, but then there's a paid service too if you want to have more IIIF images. So once you have uploaded a IIIF image, if you click right there where the little eyeball is, there's the image, and way over there in the corner is the IIIF link. And you can click Info JSON, and it will tell you your own personal IIIF JSON that you can now use to mirror this image into any shared Canvas viewer that you want. So even if the institution that holds the images that you're interested in doesn't have IIIF or isn't using IIIF, it's not the end of the world because you can do it this way. Do you have a question?
Will they be happy about that? Are there
Well, you do have, yes, well, I probably should say that. You do need to check the rights, right? You do have to check and see if it's an open access image or not. Anyone who is doing it right is their open access images. If it's an open access image, then you can do what you want with it. Thank you from the fine print. That's a very important point. Thank you. You can't just take any old image and do what you want with it. And then there really is only one more thing I want to show you, which is this is the back end at Fragmentarium. This shows you what these reconstructions look like. I'm going to close. Let's go up to the top. I'm actually going to close that because it's not important for our purposes. There we go. So now you can see all the images of all the votives leaves that I have found. There were originally 309. I'm up to 111. Got to find them all. Got to catch them all. So if you see them on somebody's wall, I suspect that a lot of the ones that I don't have either didn't have any initials, and so may have been simply discarded, or are in private collections hanging on people's walls. So keep an eye out. If you find them, please let me know. But this is where you can arrange the images in any way that you want. So if I wanted to, I could take this one. If I decided that like the recto and verso were backwards and I need to switch it, I can do that right here. I can just click on it and move it in any way that I want. And that's very, very powerful and very handy. The other thing, the thing that Fragmentarium does, or one of the things that the website does that's really great, is that if you upload an image, so you can use IIIF to mirror images into Fragmentarium, or you can upload an image, in which case they are serving through IIIF. So every image uploaded into Fragmentarium gets a IIIF manifest. So I can now mirror those images in other ways if I want to. And it just goes on and on and on and on, and it is IIIF that makes it possible. The end. I think that's it. I'm happy to take questions. Happy to take questions from Zoom world, thank you, or from those of you in the room. Yes?
Did you know how Mr. A.D. in Cleveland was able to acquire these manuscripts to begin with, to separate them?
So the question is, how did Eggy acquire the manuscripts that he took apart, which is a great question. So a lot of different ways, mostly through, he was buying at auction. These things were a lot cheaper back in the 20s and 30s. He wasn't buying the kind of stuff that J.P. Morgan was acquiring or that his library was acquiring. They're buying the Lindau Missal and these extraordinary works that are on display right now if you go to the Morgan Library in the next few months. But he was buying manuscripts that were lower quality because they were more affordable. He also had a business partner. He worked with Philip Duchnez, who was a book dealer in New York. And so between the two of them, they were sort of in cahoots, buying manuscripts and breaking them up and sort of dividing up the books amongst themselves. And one of the things that I'm trying to do, I've now done or been the principal investigator for 7 or 8 reconstructions. My students at Simmons do one every year, and we're gonna start working on number 31 next week. And one of the things that's come out of it, which I think is kind of interesting, is that for the books of hours that we've done, so we did that one, number 30, we've done several books of hours. Almost all of the books of hours that we've done have a huge, the vast majority of the leaves that survive are from the second half of the manuscript. They come from the back of the book, which makes me think that maybe Duchnez kept the ones in the front. He took out the ones he wanted and then passed the rest on to Eggy. I'm not quite sure yet how that's going to play out, but that's a pattern that seems to be developing, which is another outcome of this kind of work, is that we're starting to get a sense of how this practice worked, how Eggy did this work, what exactly he was doing and why and how, which is interesting too, I think, an interesting outcome.
I'm going to ask a little bit of a devil's advocate question.
Please.
Which is not really a serious pushback, but the text of a missal is pretty standardized.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the lining up and organization presumably could have been done on the basis of the text. I mean, obviously the central bifolding is the easiest. You can just see that it continues. Obviously it's harder as you go on.
Yep.
Can you tell us about specific things that the software allowed you to do that couldn't have been done maybe more laboriously by?
Oh, they could absolutely be done more laboriously. I mean, there's no question about it. For my dissertation 30 years ago, more than that, was a reconstruction of a dismembered manuscript.
Right.
But I did it using, photocopies and scissors and paste and glue on the floor of my living room, trying to put this book back together. So you can absolutely do it in a more laborious way. You do it like this. Number one, it allows you to very easily make changes if you decide that what you've done is wrong or you want to insert something new. My reconstruction that I did for my dissertation, which was also my first book on the Gottschalk antiphonal, it was out of date the second it was published, right? If I published this in print, the first time a new leaf comes up, my reconstruction is already out of date, right? So this doesn't get out of date. This is instantly can be updated, it can be corrected, you can add, you can subtract. That's the real joy of doing it in a digital environment, is that you have this opportunity to continually grow the project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. I'm like trying to follow all your steps so I could retrace them on my own, and I'm not fully confident that I could, and was wondering where I could go to have my hand held. Okay, we're
Go
gonna spend
to,
some time
go to
together.
the digital lab, go to the Center for Digital Humanities at Stony Brook University, because they know what they're doing. There's a lot of resources online. If you go to the IIIF.io website, there are resources there. There are lots of it sort of depends on what it is you want to do, right?
Okay, so for instance, I work on a digital humanities project called Footprints, Jewish Books Through Time and Place. And
I know that project.
Oh, hey. And so one of the things, the project is sort of user-driven, and users can take it in a number of different directions, but I'm interested in reconstructing dispersed libraries, for example. So we have 15th century books, print matter, that have the signatures of censors in Italy, Catholic censors,
Oh, interesting.
who have expurgated, printed
like
matter.
the one who signed the Sarajevo Haggadah.
That kind of stuff, exactly. And so it's quite exciting to try to reconstruct those scattered books into moments of their initial collection. And I'm trying to imagine if a software like this might be useful in aiding that kind of pulling together, or have implications for 20th century questions about diasporas and dispersals, genocide and cultural reconstruction.
So one thing that IIIF is really good for are these side-by-side comparisons, right? That it allows you really easily to take this from here and that from there. So you wanted to look at these censor inscriptions. You know, you could pull a whole bunch of them into one space and compare them. There's also an annotation tool in Mirador, so you can start annotating and transcribing. You know, sort of the more you explore, the more you'll see there's an awful lot of really cool applications. You know, that you can, and because it's an open source application, there's not a whole lot of, I mean, there are rules, but there's a lot of flexibility for how you construct the manifest or what kind of data you put into that manifest.
Thank you.
And did you tell us who developed this?
Well, Ben Albrecht certainly had a lot to do with it, but there's a whole team of IIIF people. It's not just a medievalist toolkit. I mean, it's used all over the world for all sorts of things. I find it very handy to use for medieval things, but it's used for all sorts of things. And it's being adopted by more and more institutions, I think, on a daily basis. Are there any questions on Zoom? I haven't been able to see the chat.
None so far.
Okay. What's happening in the chat? Can you save the chat for me? I'd like to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Because I can't see it from where I am. But I see there's things in the chat. There are no questions, though, in the chat.
Not so far.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions here in real life? I haven't even been keeping track of the time. Are we out of time?
We still have 10 minutes.
Okay, well, all right. Well, that's all I've got. Yeah.
So when an institution is using IIIF, you showed us where you download the image, and we talked about permissions and rights and stuff like that. If you ask permission or about like if it was freely available or and that data was freely available, would you consider copying the data from that institution?
Sure.
Also?
If it's open access, you know, it depends on what their rights statement is, right? If their rights statement allows that, then absolutely, yeah. If the image is open access, then the metadata almost always is too. So yeah, definitely, you can do that.
Can you modify images in this? Because I see that obviously, like, you know, the coloring, it varies depending upon the...
Right, so you are limited by the quality of the image. Just because something is a IIIF image doesn't mean it's a high quality, fantastic image. Some of these images are terrible, right? So you can edit it on your own and then, you know, upload it, or, you know, but if it's being served, the way it's being served is the image that it is. So the Stony Brook images are amazing. Props. Props, thank you. And they're really high resolution, they're beautiful images, you can zoom. And some of these images are terrible. Some of them are images that private collectors took on their phones and emailed to me. Some of them are images I took with my old phone 15 years ago. You know, I mean, it is kind of a random assortment. They're The expectation of top quality images is something that you have to let go of, or that I've had to let go of, because some of these are just not, they're just not great images, and there's nothing I can do about that. You know, I mean, some of them I can edit, but then you would have to re-upload them, you know, as new images. But if we go back to Stony Brook here, there we go, to the road, so we can get rid of all these things that I just imported. There we go. And, you know, you can see how zoomable these images are. They're really fantastic. You know, we didn't need to use the document camera. We could have just zoomed in right here on that rotary jacket.
But it does let you see that seeing them in person lets you see the scale of them and
Yes,
you know
that's
relationship
right.
to each other.
And I think
See
that
there.
right there. Look at that. That's a good place to leave it.
Could I ask another question?
Of course.
Obviously, you must see Beauvais missile leaves in your sleep.
A good friend of mine refers to it as the Beauvais effing missile.
Right. Have you ever been stumped by a leaf? Did someone call you and say, this looks like yours, and you can't tell by looking at it whether it is or not?
I've had leaves come to me where someone says, look, it's a Bowie missile leaf, and I can say, no, it really isn't. I can tell because of the script, the style, the size. The size is really and for a single leaf, it's not the size of the leaf that you're interested in, it's the writing space. Because that's like a fingerprint in many ways. Things can be trimmed, but the writing space is the writing space. I have leaves where I don't quite know how they fit. I've had trouble identifying, you know, if it's a long lection. Sometimes it's hard to tell what exactly it goes with. It's hard to know what order the comments section is in. There are a bunch of special masses. I still don't know for sure what order those go in. So there are definitely places where, as I get more leaves to fill in the blanks, I always have to rethink. You know, oh look, I just found this leaf. Well, that means that leaf must go over there. You know, so it's like a jigsaw puzzle where you don't have the big, like doing a jigsaw puzzle without the picture.
But basically, you can look at it and know at this point.
At this point, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I see them in my sleep. I actually own two. I own two of them now. Two leaves came up at separate auctions in the past year, and auction houses who misidentified them and really undervalued them. And so my husband and I decided that we would acquire them for ourselves, and we would see them disappear into a collection forever. So now they're hanging in my office next to my desk to inspire me every day. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you on Twitter.